The building was quiet enough that the silence felt intentional. When I moved in, that was the first thing I noticed. No distant TVs through the walls, no footsteps overhead, no doors slamming at odd hours. Just a steady, padded quiet like the whole place had agreed to behave. It was an older apartment complex, 4 floors, beige carpeted hallways, soft yellow lighting that never quite reached the corners. The kind of building meant for people who kept to themselves. My unit was on the 3rd floor. The first night I slept there, the fire alarm went off at exactly 20:17 a.m. Not the building, wide blaring siren I'd heard growing up. This was sharper, closer, like it was right outside my door. A harsh, pulsing alarm that snapped me awake out of a dead sleep, heart racing before my brain caught up. I jumped out of bed, half panicked, already reaching for my phone and keys. Fire alarms weren't something you ignored. I cracked my door open and stepped into the hallway. Every door was closed. No voices, no footsteps, no other doors opening. The alarm echoed down the hall loud and undeniable, yet I was the only one reacting to it. I knocked on the nearest door. An older woman named Mrs. Alvarez lived there, according to the mailbox. Nothing. The alarm shut off as suddenly as it had started. I stood there for a full minute afterward, listening. When nothing else happened, I chalked it up to a malfunction and went back inside, already planning to email management in the morning. At 20:17 a.m., the next night it happened again. Same alarm, same volume, same hallway. This time, I waited longer before opening my door. I listened for movement. There was none. When I finally stepped out, the hallway looked exactly as it had the night before, except for one thing. The emergency exit door at the end of the hall was open. I was certain it had been closed earlier that evening. I always noticed it because the door didn't quite sit right in the frame. Someone had propped it open with a wedge. I closed it unsettled and went back to bed. The 3rd night I didn't bother getting up. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds until the alarm stopped. When it did, I realized my bedroom door was open. I never slept with it open. By the end of the week, I asked someone. I caught my neighbor across the hall, a guy in his late 20s who wore headphones everywhere and avoided eye contact. I asked him if he'd heard the fire alarms at night. What alarms? He asked. The ones around 2 in the morning. They've been going off every night. He frowned, genuinely confused. Man, I'm a light sleeper. I'd hear that? I asked 2 more neighbors over the next few days. Same response. Some laughed like I was joking. One woman suggested maybe I was dreaming. Management told me the system logs showed nothing. No alerts, no faults, no alarms triggered on my floor or any other. That's when I started paying attention. Every morning after the alarm, something was off. My shoes would be turned around by the door. A chair in the kitchen pulled slightly away from the table. Once, I found my bathroom sink running, just a slow trickle, like someone hadn't closed the handle all the way. The bruises started small, yellow and purple marks along my arms and ribs. I assumed I was bumping into things in my sleep. Stress, maybe. New place, new routine. But one morning there were fingerprints, faint but unmistakable. 4 darkened ovals on my upper arm, right where the bruise was blooming. They didn't match my grip. The spacing was wrong. I stopped sleeping through the night. At 20:16 a.m., I'd sit up in bed, phone in hand, waiting. When the alarm hit at 20:17, I'd force myself to stay awake until it ended. I started leaving my phone recording, pointed at the door. The footage never showed anything. The hallway camera footage from the building was unavailable. For maintenance whenever I asked. One night, instead of staying in my apartment, I stepped into the hallway when the alarm began. The sound was louder out there, vibrating through the walls. The emergency lights flickered on, bathing the carpet in red. I walked slowly, heart pounding, every sense tuned sharp. That's when I noticed the doors. They were unlocked. Every apartment door on my floor stood slightly ajar, just enough to reveal darkness inside. No lights, no movement, just quiet. Sleeping homes open like invitations. Mine was the only one fully closed. At the far end of the hall, something shifted. I didn't see it directly, just a distortion like the air bending wrong. The alarm cut off instantly, plunging the hallway into silence and normal lighting. Every door clicked shut at once. I ran back into my apartment and locked myself inside. The next morning, there were scratches on my door frame from the outside. I understood then. The alarm wasn't a warning, it was permission. Whatever lived in the building, whatever moved through the halls, was allowed out at 2017. Allowed to walk, to open doors, to enter sleeping spaces. And for some reason it kept coming back to mine. I started sleeping at friends' places, but it didn't matter. The bruises followed me. I'd wake with the same marks, the same soreness even miles away. And every night at 2017, my phone would buzz with a notification from my apartment's noise monitor app. Unusual activity detected. Tonight, I finally went back. I needed to see at a.m. I stood in my hallway, door locked behind me, phone recording, heart pounding so hard it hurt. 2017 came. Nothing happened. No alarm. No lights. No sound. For the first time since I moved in, the building stayed quiet. I let out a shaky breath, relief washing over me. Then I heard it. Slow, heavy, unhurried. Footsteps, not outside my door, behind me.